In this series of videos, we're going to look at the Java programming language and give you an introduction to Java. Now, Java is a programming language that's been around for a long time, and Android apps primarily use Java. Now, there are other languages that can be used for Android apps, but Java is the predominant and most common of the languages that are used to create Android apps, and it's also the language that Google use. So the Google code samples are all in Java, and that's the language we'll be focusing on during this course. So this is the first video in a series of videos to teach you the basics of Java to help you as we progress further and create ever more complex apps. So let's make a start. The first thing that we have to do is set Android Studio up to do pure Java programming. Now, Android Studio is designed for Android development, and that means that the projects that it creates are intended to be run on an Android device and not on your computer. Now, it's built on top of an IDE called IntelliJ IDEA though, and with a small bit of tweaking, we can get it to produce Java modules that we can run without needing to use an emulator. So the first thing we want to do now in Android Studio is we're going to come up here and click on Start a New Android Studio Project. Now, for the application name, I'm going to call it Learn Java. Now, we're going to use this same project throughout this section, so we'll only have to do this setup once. So everything else that is going to be prompted on the next screens can be just left at the defaults. And that's because we're not really going to use this as an Android project, so it really doesn't matter what we enter for all the other settings. So just click on Next, Next again. And when it asks for the activity, we're going to click on Add No Activity and click on Finish. So once it's finished building the project, we need to expand the app folder and then expand Java. Alright, so it's finished now, so I'm going to open the project pane, expand app and expand Java. Now we're going to create our classes in whatever the package name is on your computer. On mine it was com.timberchalker.learnjava, so I'm going to right click that, click on New and click on Java class. So the first pure Java program we'll write and create will be the simple Hello World program. So we're going to call this class Hello World with no spaces. You're not actually allowed to use spaces in Java names, and you want to make sure that it's got a capital H and a W without a space. Click OK and we're done. Now I'm going to close down the project pane now to make a bit of space. But actually, before I do that, just to confirm that we have got a very similar looking path than what you've seen in previous applications. We've got this single class now called Hello World. And we're going to be adding more classes as we look at different aspects of Java, but at the moment we've just got the one. Alright, so I'm going to close the project pane again. And again, the reason that we're doing this is because it's much easier to explain Java when we can run our programs directly rather than having to run them as an Android app in an emulator. Alright, so this is the basic structure of a Java class. Everything you do in Java is done in classes. So the class is the building block in Java. A program can have loads of classes, but it must always have at least one. Now, classes can be grouped together in packages, and when you use code libraries that other programmers have created, you'll do that by using the packages that they've put their classes into. So that's why it's important that packages have a unique name, so that Java uses the reverse domain name format. An internet domain name must be unique, otherwise you wouldn't know where you'd end up with when you tried to get someone like google.com, for example. And as we progress through the course creating Android apps, we're going to be using other packages so that you'll see how to include other packages in your apps. But right now we've got a simple class inside this com.timberchalker.learnjava package, and you can see that it's showing on line 1. Now this class is public, you can see that on line 7, and that means that it can be used by other code in other packages. Now you can also make your classes private, and there are other access modifiers, which is what these things are, so that which you can use to restrict the visibility of your classes, and we'll see how and why you'd want to do that later on. Now the keyword class after this access modifier is just declaring that this thing called Hello World is a Java class, then everything inside those curly braces from here sort of to the closing one there on line 8 belongs to this class. So all the code in between those braces belongs to the hello world class. And obviously there's nothing in there at the moment. But let's change all that by adding some code. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a simple method that will do something very simple. Just print out hello world. Now you can call methods just about anything you want, although there are rules about how you can name things. But Java needs a particular name for the main method that your program runs first. They didn't spend a lot of time thinking about what this name should be. They settled on main. So if we want to be able to run our program, we need to create a method called main. Now we're going to be creating a main method a lot in this section, and helpfully Android Studio provides a shortcut to save a lot of typing. So anywhere between these curly braces, I'm just going to put my cursor to the right of the left curly brace and press enter or return. Type in PSVM. Now you can see that there's a tooltip that's appeared, and it's got a list of keywords that match what you've started to type. So if we just go back and just type the P, you can see that we've got lots of things there that Android Studio is giving us options for. If I type the next letter S, we've got less, then V, and then finally we get to M, and that's got a match now. So this is Android Studio helping you by enabling you to select an option without necessarily having to type it all in. So at this point, this PSVM is what I want, and if I press enter here or tab, you can see that Android Studio has created a method for us called public static void main. So PSVM was short for public static void main, and that's what the declaration of the main method must look like so that Java can find it in order to run the program. Now I'm going to be explaining what the other bits of the declaration mean, but it's a lot easier to understand when there's actually some code to talk about. So let's get the program to print that hello world message and run it first. Now we're going to be printing stuff out all the time in this section so we know what the programs are doing and to check that we're doing it right. Once again, the good news here is that Android Studio saves a lot of typing by providing a shortcut for you. The one that we want here is SOUT. That's a shortcut for system.out. So again, I'm making sure that the cursor was in between the left curly brace after the public static void main and before the one on line 10. I've typed in my code within those two. I'm going to press enter now, and you can see that it's expanded that and put in the complete command. Now there's no reason why we couldn't have just typed this full line in. Of course, this is just a shortcut that Android Studio provides to save typing. Now you'll find that it does that a lot, and these suggestions can really save a lot of time, so they're well worth using and getting used to. Okay, so before we tell it what to print, let's have a look at what's going on with that line of code. So the first part, system on line 9, is a class. So our hello world class is using another class called system to take care of printing for us. Now this system class is part of Java. It lives in a package called java.lang. In fact, we only see that by holding the control or command key down depending on your operating system and hovering over the word. So I can come down here and hold down command because I'm on a Mac, and you can see when I do that it says java.lang to the top right of that little pop-up window there. And you could do the same thing if you hold down control on a Windows or a Linux machine. So the system class contains an object called out, which is the second part. And to specify that we want to use the out that's part of the system class, we use a full stop. So it's system.out. So system.out tells Java to look in the system class to find the object called out. Now out actually represents the computer's console, which is where output goes to when you are using a command prompt on Windows or a terminal session on a Mac or Linux. To send output to the console, we need to call a method that'll do the printing for us. And here we're using this print line method, this third part here, that prints, then starts a new line after printing. So that's what the ln at the end of that signifies. If we just used print without the ln on the end, then we wouldn't get a new line. Now we're still using what's called dot notation. So we're telling Java to use the println method that belongs to the out object in the class system. So that's what all these dots mean when you're referring to objects and methods in Java. So we've now got a class called hello world that contains a method called main. So hello world and main. Now the main method calls the println method of an object called out in another class called system. Now Java programs are normally a lot more complex than this. They contain a lot more classes and methods and also repeat bits of code and so forth. But this is a basic Java program. It doesn't do a lot though, so let's give it something to print. Now it's traditional to make your first program in any language just print out the text hello world. So who am I to go against convention? Let's do the same thing and we'll add that as an argument to the println method. So I'm going to come in here with the first set of parentheses after the println word, and I'm going to put a double quote there and type in hello world. So I've got a double quote at the start and the end, and I typed in hello world, as you can see. Now arguments are values that you provide to methods to give them the information that you want them to work with. So the println method needs to know what to print, and by giving it a set of characters enclosed in these speech marks or double quotes, we're actually doing just that. We're telling the println method what we want displayed on the screen. So let's now run the program to make sure it's going to do what we want it to do. So to run that, we actually come over here and we right click in the class. So basically somewhere between this curly brace at the top here on line 7 and the final curly brace on line 11, put the cursor anywhere within there, right click with your mouse, and then you need to come down here and click on and select run hello world.main. Note that the menu is also using dot notation. It's actually showing the .main there. It's telling us that it'll run the method called main inside a class called hello world. So I'm going to select that by clicking it. And the first time you do this, you might find that it takes some time to compile, but after it's done it worked for the first time, you should find that it'll speed up dramatically. So we'll just let that finish. And you can see that it's doing something by looking at the bottom of the screen. It says Gradle build using tasks, and there's also a progress bar towards the right portion of the bottom part of the screen. So let's just let that finish, and then we'll continue. So that did take some time. As you can see down the bottom, it said compilation completed successfully in 1 minute 24 seconds. Now the first time, as I said, you do this, it can take a long time, but after we've done it once, you should find it's much, much faster. But the point is now that we've run the program, and you can see over here, the hello world text is printed out on the screen. So I've got this note at the top there, which is telling us how Android Studio ran our program, which we can ignore, but the part here is the hello world, which would be whatever you typed in these double quotes or speech marks would be shown in that position there. And below that it says process finished with exit code 0. Now normally an exit code other than 0 means that something's gone wrong, but if that was the case you'd normally get an error message as well so that you know that it hasn't worked. Alright, so moving on, let's actually print something else out, but this time I'm going to type out the whole line instead of using a shortcut. So I'm going to put my cursor at the end of the line by clicking on that. Then I'm going to press enter, which will automatically space a line for me to start typing. And I'm going to type in system.out, making sure that I'm using the right case. So I used a capital S at the start because it is case sensitive. So if you're not using the same case, you'll get different results. So for example, if I typed a capital P for print line, you can see that it didn't find it. If I come back and type a lowercase print line, it does actually find it. All right, and let's just put some double quotes in there. And notice that I just typed one double quote and automatically the Android Studio IDE added the second one for us because it knows that if you use one double quote, you need to pair it with the second one. So that's another example of a shortcut. So let's actually type my first Java program, like so. Now notice at this point we've got a little red squiggle at the end of the line, just here. And there's also another sort of red dash over to the right-hand margin. Now Android Studio does that to indicate errors and warnings. Now we'll be seeing some warnings later. They appear in a different color, normally an orange or an amber, and you can choose to ignore those warnings. But it's a good idea to at least read them though, because they're often highlighting problems with your code. Warnings won't stop the code from running, however, but they could mean that it won't do quite what you expected. But these are red errors, and these can't be ignored. They're not warnings. The code just won't run when you've got errors like this. So to see what the error is, you can actually hover over either the squiggle or the dash. I'm just hovering over there now, and you can see it's telling us that a semicolon is expected. And if I come over here to the little squiggle, I've got the same thing showing. So that's just telling us that the line must end with a semicolon. So computers are really picky, and it's important that your code follows the syntax of the programming language exactly. So lines of code must end with a semicolon in much the same way that English sentences end with a full stop. So you will pick up the rules of reading and writing code, so don't think or be worried that you have to remember a whole lot of complicated grammar before you can program. And if you do make mistakes, which you will, which is a natural part of learning to program, then Android Studio or the Java compiler will give you errors to indicate what's wrong. There's nothing actually wrong with getting errors. It is absolutely a natural part of learning how to program a computer. I wish I could actually claim that I never get errors in my code, but even after over 30 years of programming, I still make mistakes. So don't worry, you're definitely in good company. And in fact, the more mistakes you make, that probably just means that you're learning faster. Alright, so I'm going to end the video here now. In the next video, we're going to continue on talking about this grammar and computer languages, and then we'll look at fixing this error up. So we'll see you in the next video.